Hello, welcome back to Campus House. My name's Nate Marizio. Today I'm going to be teaching you about the classic cocktail called the Tom Collins. Now, it being a classic cocktail, it's got a little bit of history behind it, as you would have probably guessed. It was originally called a John Collins, and that was invented in London at the Limmer's Hotel by a bartender named John Collins in the early 1800s. And he was just really known for his lovely gin punch that he created, and everybody ranted and raved over, and for little to their surprise, there was only a few ingredients included in that punch. Around 1854, it made its way across the pond and into the United States, and in the 1860s, it started being mentioned in print, and in Jerry Thomas's 1862 A Bartender's Guide, he published it, and for whatever reason, he printed it as a Tom Collins and not a John Collins, so that's how we know it as today as a Tom Collins, was because of that little mishap. And probably what made it the most popular in its day is in 1874, it was known as like a great hoax, and it was published in the New York Times about it. And what people would do is they would go to a friend's house and they would say, I was just at the bar down the street and there was this guy, Tom Collins, and he was just saying such bad things about your name, about your family, about who you were, and I really think that you should go over there and say a word or two to this Tom guy because he was really out of line. And people would get their friends riled up, and they'd go down to their local watering hole and they'd say, go around and ask the crowd, hey, who's this Tom Collins guy? Anybody know who Tom Collins is? And he'd go to the bartender and say, I'm looking for Tom Collins. Do you know where he is or who he is? And the bartender would say, oh yeah, I know who that is. I'll go get him for you. And then he would walk away and come back with this lovely drink for you. And so it was published in the New York Times as a great hoax. And I think the funniest part about this hoax is people thought it was so great because not that many people died when they were trying to pull off this stunt. So I don't know what other hoax were going down in the late 1800s, but I'm glad that there weren't too many casualties during this one. So now that we got the history out of the way, let's get into the drink. And what I'll be using for this is I'll be using a pint glass and a shaker, some simple syrup, fresh squeezed lemon juice, gin of choice. Today I'm going to be using the Ada Lovelace. It's a Californian gin. I'm going to be using a jigger, a little bit of club soda, and I'm going to be finishing it in a highball glass, and I'll garnish appropriately. So to start, I'm going to do 3/4 ounce of some simple syrup. Okay, 3/4 ounce of some fresh squeezed lemon juice. And then I'm going to add 2 ounces of the lovely Ada Lovelace gin. All right, now I'm going to add just a little bit of ice, and we're going to shake this cocktail. I know in videos in the past we have mentioned not to shake gin because it'll bruise the alcohol, but for this, because we're mixing the simple syrup and the lemon juice, you shouldn't notice the difference because of all the new added sweet flavors. All right. Now we're going to strain this into a highball glass. Didn't mention my strainer, kind of important. I'm going to do a little bit. Alright, then I'm going to add a little bit of club soda. Now we don't want to have all the club soda on top because of the density of it, and if you add the ice and the whole drink in and then the club on top, then the club soda will pretty much just stay on top. So that's why we're mixing it like this. Then we're going to add some ice. Finish off the rest of what we poured in here. And then I'm going to put a little bit more club soda in there. Top that off. And for this drink, we're going to garnish it. I pre-garnished with a lemon wedge and a cherry. And it's important to have, before I jump into this cocktail, it's important to have a strong garnish game because your guest is going to be trying their beverage with their eyes before their taste. So perfectly mixed drink with garnishes that are just kind of thrown in or non-existent isn't going to taste as good as maybe a not as well mixed drink just because of that visual aspect of it. So I know that this drink is going to be phenomenal because I made it, but also because it looks great too.